Thank you, Paula, and everyone. It's so good to see you. So many familiar faces, loved ones, and new friends, and what a gift to be together. And thank you, Paula. I'm going to start my little timer here, and I'm going to start my remarks actually with a tradition that we do at our church, which is lighting of a chalice. So I'll light that and then offer a few words. The chalice, which is the symbol of all Unitarian Universalist congregations, was actually designed during World War II. So there's a lot of connection there. I'm going to start with words of Valerie Carr as our chalice lighting. She says, "This book I'll say this time. This time is for anyone who feels breathless. Maybe moving through this world in your body is enough to make you feel constriction in your chest. Maybe you're holding someone close to you who is struggling and suffering. Maybe you are reeling from the latest mass shooting or the refugee crisis at the border or the looming threat of climate change or the blistering pace of a global pandemic. Maybe, like me, you are breathless from all of the above. I thought my breathlessness was a sign of my weakness until a wise friend told me what I wish to tell you. Your breathlessness is a sign of your bravery. It means you are awake to what's happening right now. The world is in transition." And I just loved that. I'm going to also share another short paragraph of hers from her book before going into my thoughts about this question of connecting our spirituality and our social justice efforts. And she says this: "Everyone has a role in the labor of birthing a new America. If you find yourself in harm's way right now, then it is not necessarily your role to listen to the people who are terrorizing you or to tend to any kind of wound in them. Your primary responsibility is to survive, find safety, and tend to the wounds they inflict on you, to build bonds with people who are willing to wonder about you, grieve with you, and fight with and for you. In finding ways to breathe, you are creating the kind of energy and joy that can sustain us all in the struggle. That is your act of revolutionary love. But by virtue of whatever privilege you have, if you find yourself safe enough to do the brave work of listening to your opponents, you have a vital role to play." So when I thought about sharing my thoughts this evening, it's an absolute truth for me that my spirituality and work with social justice they are inextricably connected. And without my spirituality, my spiritual practices, and the things that I do daily and other things regularly, I couldn't sustain. And I've seen so many people become burnt out, bitter, angry, mean, saying things that I actually know they don't want to say or mean. And that's without the spirituality. And yet I also know people, and this was the journey that I started with, where spirituality were my roots. That's kind of how I came into the world, not from my upbringing, just who I am. And there came a point in my life where it wasn't enough. And it wasn't not enough because I didn't do it enough, or it was because it was all about me. And I learned that I couldn't hold and live my spirituality without being connected to others in the world and doing whatever it was I could to make manifest the values that I hold dear. So they are, to me, interconnected in ways that we can't separate. One of the ways that I think about it, and I wanted to just share, hopefully this will work easily, my screen so I can show these little slides here. I think of it as a fulcrum. And this is what I'm going to ask all of you to think for yourself, this question. So a fulcrum is this point, you can, right, on which a lever rests or is supported, or from which things pivot. It's a thing that plays in a central or essential role in an activity or an event or a situation. I don't love their quote, but I took that from the dictionary. It's true, but that's another conversation. So it is that thing when I think of spirituality and justice work, right? The question is, what is that fulcrum point for all of us, for you? Richard Rohr, one of my teachers, one of the people I follow, says, whatever your calling, your lever, your delivery system for the world, it must proceed from a foundational yes to life. And for me, that yes is what keeps me able to live into the values that I aspire to. Imperfectly, but it's what brings that to me. So my question to all of us here tonight is, when you think of your fulcrum, and the reason I'm asking this is because that's what's going to keep us going and being the people that we want to be and that we are called to be. Questions that can help you answer that are, to whom do you answer? To what do you return? And from where do you draw energy and perspective? Sometimes I answer those questions and I'm on point. Other times, when I'm honest and I look at the answers to those questions, I've lost that center. And I'm responding to other things that aren't what I want to be the center. So for me, it's a very, very helpful paradigm. And it's a way I hold myself in check. And that's what I wanted to share with us tonight.